Hey everybody, you guys know we've been here in Da Nang and we've been doing quite a bit of soul searching to figure out what is next in this life abroad for us. In this video, I'm going to tell you about a couple of the options we've considered and we'll see if we've made up our mind about what comes next. The first option we considered is returning to Bangkok once the burning season ends. Now, we didn't think burning season was felt in Bangkok. And truth be told, it probably isn't. The pollution in Bangkok is mostly from car exhaust industry and not so much the burning that goes on in northern Thailand. If we return to Bangkok, we'll have to do so with the mindset that for a quarter of the year or a third of the year, we would have to make plans to base ourselves somewhere else. So that option is always on the table. It's just adjusting to the mental mindset of having to base ourselves somewhere else and where would that place be. As you guys know, we love big cities, but truth be told, most of the cities in Southeast Asia, the bigger cities, have similar challenges with air quality. So, it really doesn't make sense for us to spend a lot of time in another big city in this part of the world. The next obvious option, if we remained in Bangkok, would be to come to a beach city for those months. Now, the southern beaches in Thailand, for how we like to live, those would probably most likely be beyond our budget. And as much as we love Da Nang, we cannot see ourselves staying here for long periods of time, and I'll quickly tell you why. We love the beach here in the boardwalk in Da Nang. We also love the food here. It goes without saying that the people here are wonderful, but the city itself, we much prefer a bit more developed city. And really, when it comes to development, I'm particularly talking about the housing supply. We were spoiled in Bangkok because there's no shortage of affordable modern housing, and that's just not the case here in Da Nang. Finding housing here in Da Nang can also be a little challenging. It seems to be more challenging this season for folks than in seasons past. And I've read a lot on Facebook groups that people are challenged. And when you really read the descriptions of the types of places people are looking for, I think the prices they're wanting to pay here are maybe last year's prices. Based on our experience, and we've come through here 3 times. The first time only for a week or so. The second time we were here for 2 months, and now this time we've been here for about 6 weeks so far. And there's just not as much available housing to the standard that we're used to. There's just some things we're not willing to compromise on, and housing is definitely one of those things. Now, obviously, this is just our opinion, and you might have a different opinion. I'm just laying out our thought process for you guys. Our next thought was slow travel, and we actually thought quite a bit about that last year. That's why we initially came to Da Nang, and we thought it would be interesting to split our time between Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, the Philippines, and see what that was like. Last year, I was in a different mindset than I am this year, and I couldn't get past the overwhelming feeling of planning it all because my mind has been so relaxed these last few years, and I've been operating on easy mode. Now, fast forward a year, and we revisited the idea of trying slow travel. The issue for us this year, quite frankly, is that we feel like on our budget it would be a little tough. We like to keep our monthly budget at or below 3,500 US dollars, and that is a budget that many people slow travel on, many couples. You could see the YouTube videos, you could read all the blogs, the Facebook groups. But I feel like for us to be able to do that on that budget, we would just have to make too many compromises in the way we like to live. And even more importantly, we don't want to get into the habit of going to places simply because they're inexpensive. Um, sure, there are lots of places to discover, and the world is huge, but really, we traveled so much in the BC before COVID years that we were really fortunate enough to visit a lot of places that had always been on our bucket list and just places that we wanted to go. And when we think about slow travel, we ask ourselves, well, are we going there because there's anything there we're interested in visiting? Or are we going there simply because it's an inexpensive place to visit? And when you start thinking about it, that gets a little bit confusing, but it really brought a few points home for us. So when we think of slow travel, really, we just think we can't afford it. We're both picky, and just the thought of staying in random Airbnbs that maybe aren't kept up as well, or staying in budget lodging that maybe is not the cleanest, the trade off for the actual art of traveling, to us, it's just not worth it. So the next thoughts we had, well, what other countries would be somewhere we're interested in living? And I went way, way back into my original research. Gosh, I probably started researching this around 2012, 2013. And I saw on my original list, Panama was at the top of the list. Costa Rica was on that list. France was on that list. France, we love France. We've traveled quite a bit in France. Either Panama or France would be a good option, but in our hearts, for both of those, something is holding us back. We've also had people ask us, well, what about Albania? And we've thought about Albania. If you're not familiar, US citizens can enter Albania for 360 days visa exempt. So literally, we could post up there and stay for a year. Now, we're a little skeptical about Albania because for us it might turn out to be another Portugal. And going there for 1 year, what happens after 1 year? We're kind of looking for solutions that can feel semi-permanent or we can see ourselves doing for the next 3 or 4 years. I do think on our journey thus far, we've had challenges trying to make any of the places we've lived feel like they were permanent. The closest we came to that is Bangkok, and we really thought we could stay there forever. And just that one little hiccup, it is enough to drive us away because we're just not willing to compromise on that air quality. I mean, we have a lot of years ahead of us. So the other option we considered is returning to the United States. Now, we love our life in the US, and one thing about this time that we've spent abroad, when you think about moving abroad, you think about wanting to elevate your life in some way. And really, the only way we've elevated our life abroad is by the fact that I'm not working. I mean, not working has been the best part of all of this. And while we do miss some things in the US, I certainly do not miss working. But we're also coming up on the very real reality that our budget of 3,500 USD per month, although it's a pretty healthy budget, we're not ready to make some of the compromises that we would have to continue to make to live in certain places on that budget. So it really has given us a lot to think about. One of the considerations, if we return to the US, I would definitely have to get some kind of part-time job. And, I think about, well, what kind of job would I get? I mean, what am I actually interested in? Because I'm not interested in returning to healthcare in any way. I have downshifted so much that I can't even think about having to do a job with that level of stress. We also know if we return to the US, our income would be significantly less than it was before, even with a part-time job. And it would be a serious question of where we could afford to live. So there's just a lot to consider with that in itself. Also, I know things have changed quite a bit in the US since we've been gone, but I think it's important for us to remember that we didn't leave for political reasons. We grew up in a different generation than today's younger people, and so our outlook on a lot of the hot button issues is not necessarily the same as many people. And I will also say in our life in general, we have definitely steered away from politics, and we continue to do so abroad. It's just, there's so many more things to focus on in life, and just getting caught up in all of the things is just not how we spend our energy. So that's pretty much where we're at. Those are the options that are on the table, returning to Bangkok, but planning to position ourselves somewhere else for 4 or 5 months of the year. Maybe trying a little slow travel. That option is pretty much in last place because we just really don't think we could afford to do it the way we would want to do it. Returning back to the United States, that in itself brings on a whole host of other issues. Or trying out another country, and countries in the running for that would be Panama and France. The good news is we've been out here long enough, and we've really gathered a bunch of our own data just by living the life, and we know how we tend to react in certain situations, and we've really learned a lot about what we want and what we don't want. So let me know what you think about all this. Let me know what you would do if you were in our situation. As always, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.